again. This was intentionally go. All right, how's it going? It's Man Tomorrow here. I wanted to make sure y'all could be able to hear me before I switch over. Can y'all be able to hear me in the chat? The one in the chat, you can be able to hear me. All right, hold on a second here. I'm trying to get the Gone 11 in here, so hold on a second while I get him on. Sorry about that. I copied the wrong stream key from the wrong stream. I didn't know that I had multiple streams in there saved. So that's what happened there. And that's how come I couldn't come on before. So let me get him on here. Wait a couple seconds for him to come in. I'm going to address what happened on TPOT today because we got to, make sure that we're not setting people up for failure out here because that's not what we do around here. That's some old nigga shit, you know. And you got to keep addressing it every single time it happens. Nobody's picking up these people. Nobody. And if it was such a good deal, they'd be taking the deal themselves, but they're not. So they cannot be expecting other people to take this bad, broken, horrible deal. So hold on a second. Oh, we wait for him to come in. Because what it is, it's a convenient way of not really taking responsibility for the things that go on around you. And nah, man, like we can't be allowing that type of stuff to be happening around here, man. Like for real, that's crazy. So, what's going on, Marco? What's going on, Goshen? What's going on, Lana MGTOW? Star Screens, Sebastian Williams, Christy, Jamal White, D. Ruck Den, Spiritual Logic Hope. What's going on? Donald B, Jerome Whiteside, Aegon. What's going on? Stoic One, NEU. Am I up NEU yet? How is it possible? And man, I'm not removing people's wrenches. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Liam Johnson, what's going on? Not sure what's going on with that. What's going on, Lando? What's going on, Ben Cisco? All right. What's up? What's on here? What's going on, B? Right. What's going on, AJ? I don't know.
All right, man.
All right, man. Let's go with the Auburn.
All right.
All right.
All right, there we go.
Mhm. So what happened earlier today on the TPOT channel when we was talking to, not we, but rather Jay Sean was kind of laying out his argument for this pro-black stuff. I'm telling you, it's an old concept. It's an old hustle concept that pretty much sets up everybody else to take the fall for people's mistakes in society, and you don't get anything out of the actual deal, which is a pretty bad idea all the way around, to be quite honest. And while I disagree, great, I mean, we're trying to people's lives up to be their lives. And always, whenever you start talking about this issue, no one wants to really talk about history and how we got here. Oh, because to them, the only thing that matters is the goal, which they're not really invested in. They were invested in the actual goal that's meant for black families. Or really pretty much started this conversation in the 60s about the future and the actual things that are supposed to be created within an environment. Just come up out of nowhere and just really expect for these things to just work kind of right now. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you still think that you can work with the majority of these people? You haven't proven the track record that that stuff even exists for the most part. But it's just that we're doing things that we shouldn't even try to be doing. And while the situation that I'm going to talk about is quite different than what we're actually doing here, with this particular situation, you have to address it every single time. And it's always like magic that the person is never around to actually answer for some of these things whenever you put all this stuff out there. It's as if everybody else is supposed to clean up this mess, but he just does the promising and he's out of it. Like, I don't understand that. Maybe I'm missing something. What's going on, Jenny? What's going on? Oh, what's going on so far? So we have to understand that what actually are we calling? I mean, like, are we actually supposed to be feeding these people to these people who don't have a track record of showing respect for these people? I mean, as a party, I mean, are we supposed to just drop this stuff and kind of go away? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand the issue from beginning to end, to be quite honest. Because we're actually making it look like we don't care about the future by trying to make sure definitely and for certain that we don't have one. And all this stuff has come to a forefront because what's going on, Ramil? It's because these type of things. Thanks for the catching up, any of you. Yeah, it's much appreciated as well. So you have to realize that it's his plan. And if it's his plan, he has to enact his plan for his benefit. There's nothing really wrong with having an actual plan that you want to see to fruition for other people's benefit, but you had better be investing the most in your plan. Because let's say me, I have a plan about how I'm gonna
acquire land and repurpose it into something else. It's my plan. I have to invest a lot within the plan that I personally have. And if I'm going to be the only person who has the greater benefit of what I'm actually investing in, then I should be the one to take full responsibility of the plan if the plan don't work. So with a plan like this, the one we're trying to engage within the environment, it doesn't really work. Like, we want all these results that are nothing but cleanup men for the women, but the men don't actually get anything. The men don't get anything for cleaning up this community. The men don't get anything for taking the most amount of risk within this environment with people who've been cultured to not respect it. I mean, so if we're expecting a whole bunch of marks, because that's what it is, to take over for these women that, I mean, you know, we're not even talking about decent women. We're not even talking about women who done it right, just women in general within this environment. Okay, so think about it like this. Think about it like a pitcher and a relief pitcher in a baseball game. The main pitcher pitches the entire game. Does a horrible job. Home runs after home runs is being hit because he's the pitcher. So now they're calling in the so-called quote-unquote closer, who's going to get the win or loss on their record. And that guy's going to pitch his inning as the last inning, knowing full well that one inning of his pitching isn't going to be able to do a damn bit of help to help the batting that should have happened before that. So that's what you have here. They're trying to set up a bunch of relief pitchers to come in and take over a game that is not going to benefit the relief pitcher at all, because the relief pitchers are compensated far less than the mainline pitchers. And even though you're supposed to have a deep bench of pitchers just in case some get injured, some need to come out of the game for any other reason, I don't think that any single person within this environment deserves a whole bench full of relievers, because we're all overall are individually responsible for what happens within our own life. Like right now, within relative reason, you should be able to get your stuff together in a pretty minuscule period of time, no matter how horrifically you've been raised within this environment. So it's like, we don't need to be having kids out here, and we shouldn't be worried about taking care of anybody's kids out here. Everybody by now should know how biology works. But the type of situation that we currently have here is that people intentionally use biology for some other need or reason than it's actually being used for. You have to understand that most of these women out here, they want to be pregnant. They do. Because they get benefits from the government, most of which they don't share with the actual man himself. They're actually not held to any standard within society. And most of the men, as soon as you bring up how things are within the environment, they try to make fun of you as if is if you haven't bowed down enough to the people within the environment to make sure things happen properly. So what I'm really saying here is that it's the other way around. The woman has a lot to prove to you at this point that she can be trusted. Not you have to prove things to her so you can be able to get your pants. You know what I'm saying? So what you have to recognize, since the roles are reversed, you have to play the game currently the way it currently is. Because most of these people who are promising these things in this environment, the one thing they are not doing is they're not on the front line trying to make sure that this stuff happens and work. They just want to lay out the promises and they want to roll it out. So it's like their actual thing within the circumstance is to actually lay out the promise. And it's up to other people to finish the promise within the entire situation. But how we're going to be able to do that if you have these people who watch other men be disrespected in the same way the current men are disrespected outside the house? How is that supposed to work? I'm proud to not be responsible for making sure these people got in these situations. I feel hella horrific about it. And what I'm talking about isn't really all that hard to get. It's just that a lot of people want to see other people sacrifice themselves for actual missions that they're not going to be able to be a part of. And so, when you come up with a plan like this, you gotta have a plan of action. You gotta have milestones. You gotta have deliverables. You know, before I got into the field that I'm in now, I was an IT project manager. And when you lay out things about how a project is supposed to go down, we're supposed to put all the labor, all the materials, how long is it supposed to take? It's supposed to factor in the weather and sick days and all that kind of stuff. So they have pretty good project management software out there that pretty much acts as an outline while you're actually setting this stuff up. So that way, no matter how good or bad you are at project management, you can make sure that the project is still on track. But with this current project called Saving These Women from Their Own Bad Decision-Making Processes, there's no plan in place except for you to accept it. There's not even a plan in place or a plan of action even for the women on their part. What they're supposed to do once they get access to this man that they're not supposed to have. This is what I have a big problem with. I mean, not only that the plan is incomplete, that it don't serve men at all, but it's just that we're setting up kids for failure when they currently have a better opportunity, better than most, to have the greatest outcome than anybody else. So we have to get primarily that the people who are handing out these plans don't really care about Black people because they had their chance to police the environment during their time. You have to realize, like, during their time, they had the same chance of correcting this environment than anybody else. So now they expect correcting the environment kind of comes off as accepting the environment currently the way that it is. And I just don't understand it. Because it's the only thing you can do is pretty much promise the results within the environment. and just walk away and everybody else gets to fill in the holes in your plan, how can we say that this is a good plan? How do you grade the efficacy of such a plan? That's all I'm saying. It's your plan. You have to plan it out from beginning to end. You have to get the people involved who should be involved. You have to make sure that this stuff is going to work. And overall, you have to compensate the people for their work within the actual plan of yours. So you have to realize that in coming up with a plan for an entire people or community doesn't involve pandering to their most baseline needs, which is they need a man to take over right now. But how does that help the man out? Now, what message are we to send to most of these neglected men out here? I don't even think it's a matter of money. I just think it's just overall a bad deal. So there's that for that particular situation. Now it's time for me to move on for what I really want to talk about, which is along the same line. About a week ago, I got an email from a young brother who actually that ruined and destroyed his life because he decided to team up with the wrong people. Because he thought his situation was so good that he could actually weather the faults and the failures of being around the wrong people and hiring them into his organization. And he told me how the story unfolded from beginning to end. His family did what they were supposed to do. They raised a productive child, so that way that child could go to school for free. That's what a parent's job is, to make sure that they're not paying for college. That's one of the premier jobs that a parent has, is to make sure that they're not paying for college. And the reflection of that is the type of child that they raise within the environment. So this person had an excellent setup. But what he started doing was he started going across town trying to be accepted by people who he never should have been accepted. One thing led to another. He met one of these pythons over there that pretty much squeeze the life out of them, like they're supposed to. That's what a python is supposed to do when you come in contact with them. So you have to understand that when you have a loss this great, you got to change everything up. That includes repairing your self-esteem within the actual environment. Because once you lose enough stuff the wrong way, it can be kind of hard to come back from. I should know, I've been through it twice. The first time I kind of walked into, the second time things kind of went bad, but I'm still able to recover twice. So before you actually go into one of these bad situations that you can't get yourself out of unless it gets completely destroyed, let's stop you from going into these type of situations in the first place. Wow, to go. Hey, your camera's on. Go. Camera's on. right, guys. What I'm doing right now is going over this guy's situation. Pretty much destroyed his business. And I'm just
Who's
trying to
this?
advise on how to get this stuff back.
Yeah, I'm trying to hear you, MOT. To say it again. Whose business? What's this now? I'm sorry.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead. Can you
Oh, okay.
repeat what you said?
Yeah. What I'm doing is I'm going over this guy's situation about how he destroyed his entire business dealing with the wrong people. And what we're going to do is going to get this dude some help on how to repair and actually make sure that this stuff don't happen in the future for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the first thing you got to do, guy, is you have to probably factory reset your phone or change your number. Because I can guarantee you, most of these people who watch you walk into this type of thing, none of those people who you need to actually deal with from here on out. You need a whole new system. Because remember, you was doing it all on your own. You was just putting a gang of people on. You were the actual brains of the operation. And when you're the actual brains of the operation, the last thing you need to be doing is trying to train every single person who becomes part of your organization in their job. This isn't corporate America. You're a small company. And the time that you're wasting doing stuff like that, that time can be used elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a fact. You have to be very smart with time management and really building your business to move forward. And if you're wasting a lot of time with people that may not even be that productive, man, that's the killer because that's it's time you can't get back, and that ultimately would be money that's lost. And let me ask you this, MOT. I'm just coming in. How was his business destroyed? What exactly happened? Kind of give me a little
No,
feedback.
no, I mean, it got destroyed by him hiring and being around the wrong people while he was the
Oh my
brains of the
gosh.
operation. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you really have to if you're gonna hire really good people, you have to be very good at judging. Exactly. I hate to say it, you got to be good at judging the character of the people that you're bringing in, and you have to look at their backgrounds very closely. If you have somebody else who's a very good employee and somebody who has good skills with respect to that, some of that can potentially be delegated, but that still, could be a little bit risky. As far as you being the owner of the company and so forth, you are responsible for who you bring in, and that's a very important task, bringing the right people into your company. So you're going to have to be able to judge them properly. That's why a good background check, resumes, very solid business references and so forth have to be done if you're really going to get involved. A lot of smooth talkers out here. A lot of guys talk a lot of smack. A lot of guys are not making any money. A lot of guys have not produced much at all, and it's total bullcrap. See, one of the things that I have in my business, especially with respect to recruiting, I've it's funny. One time I was recruiting for a company, and we were bringing in some real top-notch sales executives supposedly, and there was this one woman who was in there, and a lot of these women they can talk up a mean game. She was talking this, that, and she was sounding really great, and her background seemed to be okay, and I just got a sense of this woman sounds kind of bullshitty. So I said, listen, one of the things we do need just for a yearly thing to see what does your trailing 12 look like, and what is a trailing 12? A trailing 12 is 12 months of your production that you've done every month to see exactly how your sales numbers really looked. So I said, I'm gonna need that to kind of move forward with you. And she was like, she started bitching and moaning and crying, and this is all, why are you asking me all this? And this is private information. I was like, listen, in order for me to move forward with you, I need to have a trailing 12. Let me take a look at your numbers. That will tell me whether you're real or you're not, because I don't want to bring you in. Then my company will get dinged if you come in there and then they got to fire your ass because they counted on me bringing you in and you weren't what you basically said you were. And they don't have the time. They're doing all other kind of stuff. So they're going to leave that decision making to me. So therefore, if I'm going to get paid and I'm going to do well with this company, they're going to keep me doing business with them, then I'm going to have to, refer kind of the right people. So I had, a set of metrics that I consistently used to make sure that when people were coming in, that they were what they said they were. The trailing 12, cuts all that bullshit out. People can talk a beautiful game. People have beautiful mouthpieces out here. But at the end of the day, it's what I call game. It's bullshit. So let's get to what's real. Let me see your last 12 months of just production statements of what you did with your company, so I can at least get a good idea that you said you made six figures. You said you did XYZ number, numbers, in sales. Let me see what that looks like. All right. Just let me get a good idea of it. You couldn't produce it. And people who could produce that would willingly produce that in a heartbeat. She couldn't produce it. And the company was very interested in it. They would have hired her, I believe, but she would have definitely been a fucking dud. And we avoided that by the trailing 12. And poof, when I asked her for that, it was like air hitting a fucking 5,000-year-old mummy for the first time. Poof, she went to dust.
Yeah.
And that's how that works. Anyway, go ahead, MLT.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is that when they put you in a position, they expect for you to operate at a high level in that actual position that they put you in.
That's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
Like here's the thing. Once you signify that you don't have standards at your company, the people who you hire that ain't supposed to be there are going to bring in other people of the same ilk, right? Like for me, I have a rule. Hey, I'll take a recommendation, but if this guy fucks up, you get fired too.
That's exactly right. And being, with my recruitment firm, as far as my ass being on the line, I'm on the line all the time. So my clients are going to judge me on who I bring in. I bring in really good people. Boom, it's all over. Like I remember I was dealing with TIA Cref, and I had got a couple of key people hired, and then like one of the managing directors were hiring a lot of my people. But then his boss above him was looking for somebody, and I didn't even talk to the guy that to the managing director. I went and talked to his boss, the VP of the whole division, and I sat there and got him I pulled a rabbit out of the hat. I pulled a great guy out there for him. He stayed there 12 years. They called this guy the master. And this guy, Tom Garbutt, who was heading up the department, was like, Carl, let me, we need a few more people. And the brother who I was working with as the managing director, he started getting jealous because the boss himself was getting me to do special hiring situations for him. And then on top of that, they had bought in another recruiting firm, a big recruiting firm, to kind of handle some of the real low end stuff. And he was like, all right, you got to go through this portal. Carl, let me explain something to you. You tell me if any problems happen here, and I will deal with those issues. So this guy became my advocate on the hiring initiative with this other company. So he made sure that if that person was coming in trying to give me a hard time, of which he already sensed, he said, talk to me and I'll take care of it. And I spoke to Tom and said, hey, Tom, I'm having a little problem with this one. This one white female came in. She was nasty and trying to act like she had a fucking dick on her and all that, of which she didn't. And I didn't play anything. I said, this woman doesn't even know the true connects that I have up in here. So let me just pull a real serious card on her before she even knew it. And within 3 weeks, she was gone. She was fired. They put somebody else in there, smooth sailing for me. This is how shit works when shit moves nice and smooth for you and you're on top of your shit and you know what you're doing. They're going to go all out. So, but it's the reverse. You're going to get torn out the frame if things don't go right. So that's why you, as the owner, you have to be very good at putting the right people in place. And I've made mistakes as well. I hired a guy about a year and a half ago, a guy who I worked with, gave him actually about a little less than 10 grand just to walk through the door. And that was to cover some of his bills and so forth, so he could have some money and start out. And, after 4 months, this guy didn't produce shit. He was just sitting there. He beat me for some money. it's not like, $9,000 or whatever is huge money. It's not. But at the end of the day, I sat there and said, okay, I took a little bit of a hit, but this guy wasn't any good, got rid of his ass and kept it moving. But at the end of the day, you will make those mistakes, and those mistakes are going to be, especially if you're running your own business, you're not going to get fired. What you're going to do is you're going to take the hits. And you don't want to take those hits, because that will destroy your business. So you have to become good at judging and estimating people, and you have to have a set of standards that you're going to use that are going to be successful. Yes, so some people are going to slip through the cracks every now and again. That will happen, but you want to keep that down to a minimum. And having firm standards are very important. I always say, if you're a top recruiter and you're really good, you should have no problem showing me 12 months of your last year's activity, just giving me a production statement of what comes out at the end of every month that every sales executive will get. And if they refuse to show you that, next, let me go on to the next one. And that's just kind of how business is done. That's what I use in order to keep things running smooth. And I deal that with every sales exec that I deal with, in the industry, especially IT industry now, where IT sales and all that is very big, and people are claiming that they got a 12-inch dick and all this kind of crap. Oh, really? You got 12-inch dick? Show me 12 months of activity, and I'll believe it. Okay, outside of that, forget about it. And the people who are real have no problem showing you that. Those who are not real will always scuffle and fight and come up with all kind of excuses. And then, at the end of the day, they're trying to bullshit you. So you have to have a way of being able to get through that. And I learned that the hard way. So, that's what I'll say there. I think this applies to almost any other business you're dealing with professionals. You have to have a strong understanding of their background from whence they came, and people who can verify for them. And if they have a hard time, with good people verifying them, then, you're going to have I say don't hire these people. Don't bring them on, and don't bring on your friends unless they are high-end producers themselves, because they'll screw you as well.
Yeah, like, this is another problem that I have with people. We're just going over the things that he did wrong. He also did some things right. But another thing. So I asked him for a business card of one of these people who are actually working for him. He gave me this business card. This shit had like 9 fucking things on it. I'm like, what does this person specialize in? I know this person ain't like some 9-headed dragon doing like a whole bunch of shit. I'm like, dude, if you bring somebody into your organization, they better specialize in something. I'm like, I don't want somebody who does some shit on, who's actually learning some shit, but actually listed it on their resume as an actual thing. I'm like, bro, you gotta check the character of these people. I'm like, they may be good people. Good people are in dire straits for money, just like bad people are in dire straits for money. But if you're actually hiring a definite person for a definite thing, then you need to go with the definites and not the people who you quote unquote know. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, hey man, you're not supposed to be in the position of putting people on. You're supposed to be in a position of putting on professionals, and then the professionals build a buffer so that way you can kind of take a chance on a person. But you can't have a business setup. That's crazy. You can't do that.
You can. You could. Okay, it's just like, there's certain people you can pick up after. It's just like I see a lot of guys who do a lot of talking and say they doing this, they got this, they got that. I can just hear that they're full of shit. So I don't pay a lot of guys who do a lot of talking, a lot of sense. I see this not only on YouTube, but certainly out in the real world as well. So I don't pay a lot of people a lot of mind on a lot of things. I just, one ear and out the other. I hear all kind of people talk stuff, but you have some people who are very serious. It's just like this young brother I was telling you about, who I got into the CDL business. Who came out. I met his aunt was actually at a function. It was a political function, and I was dealing with that, and she wanted her nephew to get some need some help, and I ended up talking to the guy, and he was really sharp, and he was very sincere about getting his life together. So I said this was a risk on that. Now he didn't just come to me. This was his aunt and family members who were like, this guy's very serious. So I had the feeling that this guy was very real. We put him into the school. He didn't pay a dime to get his CDL. He got it. He's out there working now, killing it. I think he's going to make close to about 70 this year. About 70.
Yeah.
I think by
Real
November.
money, man.
But
Real
by
money.
and this is real first year in. His CDL guy went to jail about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, a little less than 5 years ago, and did an 18-month bid or whatever, and got out, was on parole, was cleaned himself up, and he was on some dumb shit he got caught up into, but he learned his lesson. This guy's out here working like a true brother. I mean, going hard, and that was a good call. It was a good call. But it was his people. It wasn't like, sucker lades were coming up to me saying anything. These were fairly accomplished people. And this guy was for real. It was a good call. This guy has worked out swimmingly. So it's funny because now I'm getting into doing some contracting for some CDL companies because I know a lot of people and I'm trying to get drivers for them and stuff, which is kind of interesting.
And they pay big money for recruiting. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Big money. $4,000 or $5,000 a person.
Good year. Well, like I said, I'm used to the 20, 30 G's for guys at the higher end level, with 25%. 25% of their overall salary is what my fees are. But we got some. But now it's pretty funny. Like with Goodyear. A couple other companies that I actually look at where they're looking for drivers and testers and so forth. It's kind of interesting, that they are looking for these people. They're paying some of these people some decent money, but the job's tough. And it's funny. It's just getting people qualified to come through because boy, passing these drug tests are issues. A lot of these guys coming in. I can, what does your driving record look like? You got to take a look at that and see that there are no tickets and people haven't been torn out of the frame there and everything else like that. So they got good driving records, and then they got a drug test they got to pass, and that is the most difficult thing. White people, black folks, who they are, difficult getting them to pass a drug test. A drug test.
It's always weed. So
it's always. weed for days. So So, they test on that and it's just that's a bit of a challenge. But just dealing with some of this is quite interesting. But yet you have to have standards to judge people and to test them, and you have to really, really stick to that. And the better people get, especially if you're owning your own business, you're going to make mistakes, as in bringing in the wrong people. You are going to make those mistakes. Those mistakes, unfortunately,
I've done it.
And you have to learn from that. And those mistakes can't be so terrible to where they're going to sink your business, because your company is your people. So
some of that too.
So you're going to have to be very sharp about that, and be on your P's and Q's, and really have a good system to judge and evaluate people that are coming into your company, because those mistakes can be quite costly. So have a very stringent set of standards that you want to have, and they gotta these standards, whatever standard you have up, they gotta be able to check that box. Because if you don't and you try to scoot around it, invariably you will pay the price for that.
Yeah, and people have to recognize it may seem like a simple process, but there's a lot of shit on the line behind the scenes that people really ain't got a high target margin for error. I mean, because unneeded errors can cost some people a lot of money, reputation of a company, contracts and whatnot. And sometimes, man, like this one little job and shit really isn't like they see it through their compensation, right? That's why I try to pay people a lot of money so they can kind of give a fuck. So that way, when I'm ready to cut a motherfucker loose, there's no question about why the fuck you being cut loose, right? No, I really have a real low tolerance for motherfuckers, doing stupid shit like not answering the phone, not being on time, not sleeping when they fucking supposed to, like all kinds of dumb shit that has all to do with personal responsibility. I don't even tolerate that shit.
Yeah, it has. He's right about that, because I am dealing with issues right now on the with this, because I have a partner who I work with. His name is David, really sharp guy, and I'm rebuilding a whole new website right now on just putting this whole section involved in that as well, because it's, I see money there, it's profitable, and I'm gonna run to the money. He handles a lot of that, and especially when you're dealing with people who are dealing with various shift work, and some shifts actually might pay a little bit more. Especially that 12 to 8, and people trying to work around the clock, and some of these jobs want people to be to work 6 days on and all this kind of stuff, and then you can make some really nice money on some of these jobs, but at the same time you do have to be very disciplined in your life. So
no doubt.
if you're going to work 1 week, from 8 to say 4 or however, and then boom, the next week you're going to do the 12 to 8 kind of deal and driving and all that, and you're hitting that shift. Your circadian rhythm sometimes may get thrown off, and in order to deal with that, you're gonna have to be very disciplined in how you how you sleep and everything else like that, and then you'll start seeing people who will fall off because of that, and the more disciplined drivers will handle that, it's how they're disciplined in the game. So you have to have a way of judging that or evaluating that as well, and that will help you become a lot more successful in the people that you put into a company that are going to work out and you're going to get paid on. And these consulting contracts are beautiful because there's an hourly rate to it. So
that's nice, real nice.
Yeah. Let's say they're paying a guy, say 27 or 28 an hour. Let's just say, put it like that. I'm going to bill that job out, at 75 an hour. 7 hours between whatever. It'll be 50 or so an hour on that. That's money. I want to make sure that bad boy is hitting because I'm getting paid. So clock. The numbers are on. I'm on the clock. I put up the money, but at the end of the month, I get paid. I get paid that money back. So at the end, so this game really comes down to you're on the clock. I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock when I'm sleeping. I'm on the clock. I'm catching check when I'm sleeping. That's the key right here. But man, it ain't gonna happen unless I have the right people on.
No doubt.
Because that shit'll get cut off like like faster than you can think. And then next thing you've outlaid a certain amount of money, and now this person's got cut off, and you're a little shorter in the account. You're looking for some other dough to come in, and it's like, nah, it ain't happening, man. They cut off. Nah, we don't want that. So we want to make sure that these people are constantly on, and so you got to evaluate them properly as well. So this is what's happening at this game. That's why it's very important. I'm very experienced with this. I understand how this thing works. You have to have very strong, how would I say, qualifications. You have to have very strong standards. You have to really understand everything about that position, everything about what that person is going to have in order to be successful. And you got to be really on top on that, because this thing can hurt you. Running your own company, you're gonna hire some bad people at times. You're not gonna have a boss on top of you who's gonna fire you. Your client will fire you potentially, but most of the time you take these hits and you take these nasty, ugly, bitch ass hits with money, and it's significant money. If that's an extra 10 or 15 or 20,000 in a month, and that money is gone, that hurts. That hurts hard. You don't want to take those hits if you don't have to.
Yeah, it's just that, like another one of the things that he did wrong is that he wasn't holding these people to any type of standard, and not doing that will invite the wrong people inside your organization. Like he had some people taking accounts from him, running their own thing under his own stuff, like all types of little goofy stuff. It's like, bro, hey, people get out of line, man. Yeah, send these people up the fucking river. Yeah, let these people know not to play with you like that, man.
You got to cut their ass. You got to drop their ass faster than shit through a goose. And you got to see it quick. That's the thing. You got to see this quickly. And the minute you see it and you sense it, you see it's going on, you got to cauterize, and move forward. You have to do that because that's going to cost you long term. It's in the short term. It's all depending on the margins and what you're dealing with. You know, if you got tight margins, you can't afford this. You can't afford it. You literally can't afford that going down. Having people in your game fucking shit up. Oh man, wow. Is he here with you now, or is this somebody who you're speaking about?
Now somebody who I'm speaking with offline, but he asked me to do a show. I told him to just let the show play out and you watch the restream. But you know, I want people personal business out there and all that kind of shit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So it's like, gotta do the business on time, gotta open on time, gotta close on time, goes without speaking. Another thing, you can't be having these people kind of showing up to the job, man. So you gotta have like some boundaries. Because, you know, there was a
What?
little, little boyfriend, coming up to the job, bagging a little food, overstaying, motherfuckers up there, kids running all through the office, just all type of stupid shit
What?
that would never, just this motherfucker to let this shit go. Like, go. Yeah. So it's like,
What? Wow. Wow. Wow.
I know, man. I know how it sounds, but yeah.
Wow. No. MOT, that's totally unacceptable. It's a professional environment. You have to have that. That's why, even now we I'm looking for a couple of recruiters. So we're kind of, me and my boy Dave are actually working on that right now. I'm going to say some people are not going to like this. If you're running around and you got wife problems, you got bitch problems, or if I hire a female, you got nigger issues, you're done. You're fucking done, man. There's no reason for me to deal with you. No reason to deal with your ass. Because at the end of the day, you're going to bring a lot of problems onto the job. I had a woman who was hired. She had scammed me. This was about 4 years ago. And I should have known. That's why I say certain kind of issues, can harm me. I was with a client. I did very well with them. I had some good people, but I ended up hiring on this one lady. And, so some white broad. But anyway, at the end of the day, she was supposed to be all this and all that. We checked and she seemed to be okay. But then, and then we had her working remotely. So, this is before all this stuff, we had people working remote. So she was working remote. And then all of a sudden, then the boss, the CEO of the company, guy by the name of Mario Pecoraro, wonderful man. But anyway, he started having some real issues with this woman. And I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is the problem here? All these issues going on. And then we find out, she gets hired on. Then she comes up all erratic. And she's going through some fucking divorce with her fucking husband. But she hid that shit from me. And I was not successful in uncovering that information, which would have been decisive. Because once I knew that she was having these fucking horrific issues with her and her husband and all that bullshit going on, I would have never hired this woman. I would have never gotten her hired. It would have never happened. Because what did she do? She got hired. She was looking to make some quick money or whatever. She brought all that rat shit into the fucking job and it didn't work out, of course.
It was kind of the same thing. He hired this assistant, and so you should have, what I'm saying, her nigger boyfriend was going upside her motherfucking head. Coming in the office looking all crazy and shit. That motherfucker looking around. I'm like, dude, listen, man. And then, he tried to fire her, and then, the dude kind of blew up on him. I'm like, hey, man, I would have put that motherfucker down. That would have been the last time we would have fucking done that shit. I'm like, look.
This is going on in his office?
But it's going on in his office.
Yo, he could have, if he had a premises permit, he could have pulled out his piece and said, this is Big Bertha. You don't want this bitch to sing. She will start singing. This is the fat lady. She gonna sing. But you best get on up out of here before you get mauled up on out of here. He had left. No, you can't have nobody coming onto your premises, getting live in your shit. Oh man. Oh man. Oh
because
man.
nowadays, if you don't have like the insurance people step in and see what the fuck's going on, that shit could come back on the company, man.
Well, you could get, I mean, all kind of
Hell
shit.
yeah, man. You get in all kinds of fucking trouble over this shit.
All kind of shit. And if you are in one of those offices where you have an office and then you're sharing, then you have space that's next to
Oh my
somebody else,
God, yeah.
something else going on, that means other companies can get involved. You can have oh my God, you can have the fallout from that could be massive. So no, I don't. You see, the problem is the minute that came up, he should have been destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, when you're pulling in that type of money a month, your overhead really isn't that high. He thought he could like shoulder and this shit for a while until you end up, one of these chicks end up mouthing off to a fucking customer, and then boom, 1.5 million is gone for your fucking business, just like that.
No, it
Because
was bad
yeah,
decisions. It's bad
yeah.
decisions he made.
I mean, but it's all based around the same issue, as you can see, right?
Yeah. You see, to me, this woman, I'd have been like, listen, you're a nice lady. I'm sure you'll be okay. And this is how I would have handled it. So there wouldn't have been any lawsuits. I'd have been like, listen, I'm going to let you go for a while, but I'm going to give you an opportunity, to come back and work here again later on. But you have to clear up some of your personal issues because you are a risk to my business right now. And I'm going to have to, let you go for a while. I would give her a month severance or whatever. I'd have given her, just to make sure things were cool. I'd have paid her next month's wages or whatever that, just so everything would have been nice. And I would have walked her ass on out there nice, silently, and gave her a nice little pat on the shoulder and said, see, you wouldn't want to be here, and make sure she never comes back. And that's how I would have handled that. That's how I would handle that. Get her on out of there, get somebody else in, and keep it moving. It's business.
Yeah, and it's like all these problems center around the same thing. He thought he can weather and shoulder these problems, but these problems are one problem within another problem within another problem. I'm like, look, man, right now, this economy, because he lost all his shit, he's on his way back up. So I'm like, look, man, there's a ton of fucking experience out there you can get pretty cheap right now.
Yeah.
There's no reason, absolutely no reason for you to be taking chances on people. You need to be hiring professional people in your environment who got connections to other shit who can take your ass some other place. That's what you need to be worried about right now.
Exactly. Take advantage. This is in certain respects, I call it this is a candidate-rich market in certain areas. In certain areas, IT, it's a little bit different. IT's got a lot of demands, and really, you got to get the right people in the job. There's a lot of demand there, so they want the right people. They want people, and there's a lot of demand for having people out there. But in other areas right now, a lot of businesses have been hit, and a lot of businesses that are coming back now. Like New York City is dried out, man. That bad boy is a husk. So a lot of companies are trying to come back. They're going to start opening up in the next couple of weeks, and they're going to be on skeleton crews, and they're going to have the creme.
They've been closed that long?
Man, bruh, the city has been torn out because, and then the mayor and the governor, they're very careful because, you're in a highly perfused environment with a lot of people. Given a rush hour time or something else like that, and anybody who's sick, they're just going to spread shit around, and they don't want they don't want that bomb going off again. They don't want that COVID bomb going off. They just don't want any parts of that. And I, as a top administrator of a municipality like a city of the size of New York City, I would be trying to avoid that literally like the plague. That would give me nightmares. So they're trying to see to it that doesn't happen. But any businesses that are going to start opening up now, they're going to have the creme de la creme in there because their crews are going to have to be small. They're not going to be able to hire just a zillion and one people. Their money is going to be kind of short. So they're going to have to make really, and business will come back. Things will start to pick up, but you're going to have to get through that recovery period, and you're going to have the right people in there. You make wrong hires with these companies now, that smaller joints that are opening up now and starting to move. You make bad moves, you're done. So they can't afford to make bad hires. They can't afford to bring in people who are doing stupid shit that could hurt their business. Can't afford to have that. And there are going to be a lot of desperate people who are going to be coming out, I'm sure. I don't know when this unemployment stuff runs out. I don't have no idea when it does, but when that does, it's
No,
going
but
to be.
every state has their own rules when it comes to unemployment. Because I know Colorado's is still quite extensive. So these people ain't going back to work for a while. But it's not that much. It's not that much, and it works a while. So a lot of people are like getting off into the gig economy and not even worried about going back to work, that type of shit. No,
Well, yeah,
it's kind
you
of like
got
the
that
same way it
going.
was 2008, 2009. Same shit.
Yeah, you got. I know people were getting $600 a week or whatever, and $600 a week, man. I mean, that ain't gonna
Come
take
on,
care
man.
of that. Ain't taking care of a lot of shit, bro. That's that's just barely keeping your ass moving, and they decided to cut that off. So folks are gonna be dealing with some difficult times as shit comes up. So everybody's gonna be looking to jump in some kind of job or to do something. And you got to really make good hires now. You got to be really good at having strong standards because it's going to require that more so now than ever. And it's going to be very important, very, very important to have those standards together because you're going to have plenty of people coming in saying that they're this, they're that, and they're the third, and they're just trying to grab a job. And a lot of these guys, a lot of them are going to be fucked up. Not a lot of them, but you're going to have people who are going to be fucked up. And if you make the wrong hires, it's going to be costly to you, very costly. Of which you may not be able to really afford.
Yeah. Aside from that, I want to tell people about business opportunity that has opened up because of COVID-19. All right.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a cousin of mine. This motherfucker probably hasn't been out of prison 6 months. I'm talking about 6 months for like murder one. You know what this motherfucker is doing? He is at construction sites. He has like 6 of them right now. Construction sites, scanning, taking people's temperature and handing out the questionnaires. Every company is having another company do that right now when it comes to their organization. They're paying this motherfucker $200 an hour to have two people sit there. Yeah, $200 an hour to have 2 people sit out there. Yeah, this motherfucker pulling down like, all this money per week. I'm like, man, you better not be going back to the fucking pushing that powder out there, man. They're like, no, man, it's legit. It's like, I'm like, all right, man. Well, let me talk to your cousin. Like, yeah, he went, yep. This motherfucker went out there, bought him one of the machines for like $200, and that's what he does. He checks people's temperatures.
Wow.
When they're going into the organization. So like I see them like when I go to like JB Hunt facilities or Walmart distribution centers. Like as soon as you pull up, there's like this tent out there that have the people out there who do that type of shit. That's where I've seen it. I really haven't seen it like in an office environment or anything like that. But like more security companies that are doing security within these office environments are getting way more money by adding that shit as an actual service to the actual security shit. So this is an opportunity that all businesses need. This specific shit right here. So it's like, look, man, you don't even need a special license, nothing. You just got to approach, make your proposal, and boom. Because they don't want to be responsible for the shit. So they won't. If an outside company can like do these scans and all this shit, somebody got a fucking fever above like a certain temperature and shit, boom, you already caught the motherfucker and everything else, so it makes you look good. And he caught a bunch of motherfuckers with that high-ass temperature. Turned out these motherfuckers got COVID. Next thing you know, word's getting spread around. Everybody's bringing up things like, yeah, I got this person. Boom, this motherfucker gonna be making a gang of money doing that shit.
That's highly butter laid.
Oh, yeah.
That's highly butter laid. Because, security, as you know,
when you stop a possible pandemic from going to somebody's motherfucking work area, I'm telling you, man, you're going to be talking to fucking town, bro. And get ready, because like him, he's a he's a dude who was flipping that powder out there, and I'm like, dude, listen, man, you're gonna have to hire more reputable people than what you're hiring. You better get yourself some real fucking help, because he kind of had too many people and he didn't know how to manage it, because he was calling me. I'm like, man, this motherfucker may want some money, and then he texts me and shit. No, I mean, shit, he texts my brother, and my brother like, hey, man, could you please call the guy, man? He's not on some bullshit. So, called him up. All right, this is what's going on, flew him out. Like, look, this is what you got to do. That's cool, but don't hire nobody else like that. Get yourself a professional recruiting firm and don't fuck this money up.
That's right. Wow, that's highly butterlaid because security, as you know, is definitely definitely coming up. That's a great business in which to be getting involved with. As you and I know, but that's an important piece because wow, when my mother was in the hospital, we would go there and they took your temperature, they took they did all that stuff. We were walking through the door, and I was just looking at where back in China, this is back when the pandemic was really getting heavy. They had people, but these were government folks, but they had people on the street every 300 yards that you walked in Beijing. They had every 300 yards. It was
Oh, y'all
somebody.
have to scan? Wow.
Somebody was scanning and taking your temperature, just seeing how it was. And the minute that they found that your temperature was high, they in a quarantine. So started doing that. I saw a while back, and they had those machines, those temperature machines to take your temperature to see where you are. So you could buy these little ones, at the stores or whatever. But if you have these real accurate machines that can really hang for a while, and and scan a lot of people all day long, shit, that's exactly what needs to be done. And that's what they're gonna have to do in the city, I think, as far as when they really start to open up again, since they're not doing any testing, and since we've totally fucked up the whole the whole process of what really needed to be done. This was handled horribly. I mean, what are we going up to now? Almost 200,000 people, and we'll have 400,000 by the end of the year deaths.
Easy.
Yeah. Which in the pandemic in 1918, United States had 675,000.
Wow.
So we're coming up on 400,000 by December, so we'll be doing about the same thing. Here we go, 102 years later, and we haven't really improved. It's incredible, but that's going to be needed. That certainly is probably going to be needed more so than anything else before. Which wow.
Yeah, and those type of services are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be here at least for the next 3 or 4 years, or else until they get an actual viable vaccine off the market, on the market. That is. And
that's supreme. That's supreme. In fact, gives me some other very serious ideas. But anyhow,
also for government contracting, there's a lot of these positions that are opening up for people, special people, to come through and just do that after the work environment is actually over for the day. Have people come in there and kind of spray shit the fuck down. Paying a lot of money for that type of shit too. So.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. That's huge.
No, that was just an aside. Just letting people know out there, business-wise, what's actually going on here. The new opportunities that popped up because of this shit. Now that people are starting to go to work, these people still scared shitless to let these people in there. A lot of these factories, and like every business needs something viable in place. Something like this that's not being ran by them. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fucking opportunity with that shit right there.
Also, for people who are more tech savvy, people who are getting into, say, LAN, local area networking, and so forth, or even wide area networking, and people who are getting into that phase of the game, especially with a lot of remote locations and setting your companies up to deal with people remotely and working and working your help desk from a remote location. Very, very big now, massive. That is huge. And so people who are potentially getting into this, who are getting maybe their A+ certifications and getting in on some of their LAN WAN stuff, which is always going to be big, it's going to be very big. It's always was big. It's huge now. And I have a nephew who I'm trying to get into that really well. He just got his A+, and he's a pretty sharp guy, and he's getting into that. And these companies are looking for these kinds of people because the game, literally, this COVID has changed some of the ground game. The ground game has changed, I believe, forever at this stage. And those opportunities are there. And on the tech side, I'm definitely more into the tech aspect of the game, fourth industrial revolution and all that kind of stuff, that we talk, pretty much on the brain trust. So we'll be getting back to that shortly. But that is something that we put a big push on because that's where a lot of that is. And quite frankly, I think a lot of us brothers who have time to work some of this stuff and get their certifications together on that is something I think we should be looking at, because I believe you can certainly get some positions in these areas as you get your skill sets up pretty decently. So I would like us to think about that a lot. These are great opportunities, and they pay very well. And this stuff is long term. This is not short term stuff, but more long term. So I'm going to say this like a broken record: consistently keep your eyes on the tech industry as well, because that's where a lot of stuff is going to be. Medical industry as well. And we've had other brothers talk about that deeply, but I'll just speak strictly on the tech side. Huge opportunities there, especially in the networking aspect, which is more ground level, and you can go up higher, but the opportunities are there where you can actualize some nice money in a year, 2 years, 60, 70, 80, in that range. And that's real money. And that's real money. That's real. Yeah. I'm thinking because even one of our guys from the Brain Trust complex, I believe he was doing some of that, and they just moved him up to a much higher position where he's a trainer and he's kicking ass, and they got him doing all kind of shit now, and he's running his own businesses. But they've upped his status, so he's moved up quite a bit, just by doing that. And I think he was working with Microsoft in one of these companies, and they've upped his game. He's moved up. They moved him up. They moved him up relatively quickly. So opportunities are abounding right now in this arena. I definitely want people to be thinking about it.
Yeah. And for the last piece, man, you got to legally protect yourself within these environments. There's about three or four things I wanted to go over here.
Say that again, please. Oh man,
you got to legally protect yourself when you're in these environments, man. Like, one, first and foremost, no fucking relationships within the environment. Period. None. Motherfuckers are here to come to work. Once y'all get off work, that's on y'all. No PDA on site. None of that shit, you're fired. Period. I'm not taking no fucking chances, because the moment that shit happens within your environment, it's your shit, and you have to actually manage it. So you got to have a human resource. They're expensive, but they're fucking needed to watch your goddamn ass, especially when you got all this kind of crazy shit going on within the environment. Any normal HR manager, even just one, would have just cut all this shit the fuck out. But, skipping on shit and he needs, and actually have a hell of a lot of shit that he don't need. I mean, because, things go good. You kind of manage it. It's bullshit, and you don't need to be doing it like that. But, you got to understand, man, dude, you have to look at how other people's work environments are set up. And money isn't the well-oiled machine. Order is the well-oiled machine inside this work environment. But if you let these people come in there and do anything, trust me, any type of thing will be happening inside these environments.
Very, very accurate. One lawsuit that you get against you on some dumb shit can wipe you out. Even in my business, I talk to candidates, talk to men and women, and I had one young lady. This was last year. She's a white lady as well. Very nice. I knew her for a lot of years, and she still, she started coming on. We started talking a lot, and I got nervous, because you got to be careful. You start talking to these women, and they start, potentially coming on to you. Who knows? You could be looking at a lawsuit. You easily could be looking at some, Me Too shit. You never know, and you could walk right into a massive pit that next thing you know, somebody could feel like they've been screwed over, and they could put a lawsuit on you, man. And you could be getting sued for tens of thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, just depending on how they can come at you. So you got to be very careful.
Not only that, man, you bring the media down, breathing down your fucking neck. You done fucked up the reputation of your company. People start canceling fucking contracts, all types of dumb shit, because you're in this environment trying to fucking net your ass one of these young ass fucking problem makers, man. And
You
going off
can
all,
get
yeah,
you
you
can
can really
get
fuck shit up.
blown up horribly. So I'm very careful. You have to be very careful. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and alongside that, it's like, dude, you have to build some strong ass boundaries so that way none of this shit would happen in the first place. Like I said, all these problems are kind of 1A, 1B, 1C of the same type of problem, but you can see how not having any standards or boundaries can really turn into a whole bunch of crazy shit that can go on within an environment. A whole bunch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just that, just wanted to help him out with all that. He lost a lot of contracts and shit thanks to how this shit blew up in his face. No, he'll come back. But, it's just that right now it's the time where, hey, man, may not be a bad idea to take a nice long fucking vacay. I couldn't do it. But, sometimes, you got to sit out for a while before you come back into it. Make sure you got the right mind state. Make sure you got the right type of team helping you out. Attorneys and otherwise, human resources, and like legal protection is how he needs to start back off this thing before he start putting all these other type of people within his environment. I told him, like, look, man, hire older people.
Yeah. It's really funny you say that. I had ex-girlfriend here. She was Brazilian. And we were pretty close. This is going back around 2016, 2014, 15, 16. She was up in the Boston area, and she had a cleaning company. Very interesting. She had a cleaning company, and she did some light commercial stuff, like doctors' offices and and attorneys' offices, and legal firms and so forth. And then, she also did some other, residential, high-end residential stuff or whatever. So she's pretty successful with it. I have to say she's pretty successful with it. And it was kind of funny because, she was real cute. We hung out a lot, and it was, we had a pretty good thing going there for a while. She would have a lot of what we call velhas, older women, old velhas with her, older women. And these weren't like, when I say old, they weren't like 80 or nothing. They were like, 50s, 60s. They could still work. They could work pretty good. But none of them were like youngsters. And I wondered why she didn't have a lot of young girls with her. And, just to say that here she was, when she was hiring a lot of her, her Brazilian, counterparts. And they did like really good work. And she said no. She said she didn't want to bring a lot of young girls onto her company because she felt the young chicks would come in there and they cause problems. So,
I do.
they would cause problems. Bring these young, and then they go and they see some of their clients or whatever, and they be around, and next thing you know, they're riding, they're riding on one of them, and got all kind of shit going on, and you never know what could happen. So she avoided those kinds of problems. She was a real cutie herself. I mean, strong body, all kinds, went to the gym, body was crazy, and all that, but it was funny. I remember when I went to go get my colonoscopy, it was really, really wild. And she drove me there and took me there. And I remember all the doctors, I'm like, that's your wife, that's your girl. I was like, yeah, it's my girl. They were like, oh shit. So dudes are like, oh, she driving you over here, but she butter laid, dudes, they were funny, when I was waking up out of the thing saying how, how live she looked. But what I thought was interesting was with her company, she never hired anybody who looked really that good. And were older because she knew that these younger chicks who some of them needed money. I'm sure some of them would have worked with her well, all right. I think she had one or two of them who did work and they didn't work out. But I think she ran into some of that where she found that to be problematic, that they were going to be problems in her business. She did not want to have young, fine bitches cranking in her company, which I think might have helped her. I don't know, but she didn't do that. And She played it very close to her vest. So it's very interesting you bring that up because that's exactly how some people run their businesses. They make sure they don't have younger people who can maybe distract or create problems. So yeah,
And it's like, when you're a company, you can't have this big head and think that it's your job to hire all these people. No, it's the point is servicing the customers and the customers' needs, not really putting people on. And like while counseling this guy, it's like it kept coming up about how responsible he felt for hiring all these people. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, no. Profit is shit you're supposed to keep. Profit isn't shit you're supposed to waste on useless fucking employees that you don't fucking need. Like,
yeah.
And
who's going to be
if you have
effective for
six
it?
people, if you have 6 people and they max probably do 2.5 people's jobs, guess what? You got 5 motherfuckers to fire, right? Like, come on, man. Like,
Nah.
so it's like,
I don't know. It seemed like he had some charity going there. I don't know what that was all about, but can't have that going on, and can't have people in there that are not going to be effective for you. Like I'm, you don't want to get caught up in age discrimination and this kind of stuff, but you want to have people who are going to be effective, who are going to help you further your bottom line, and people who are just smart, who understand the fundamentals, are not going to have people that are going to come in there and compromise that. And it seems like to me, I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but it seemed like to me he just was not. He really wasn't on top of his game. It doesn't sound like he was on top of his game, man. It seemed like he was on some other shit.
Because nice translate into sucker, and like
Yeah.
know
Of course
saying?
you money.
Yeah.
It costs you money.
Yeah, but torn out, lost some shit, he can come back. No, but it's just that, hey man, you really got to get this shit under control because this personnel piece is the biggest piece. It's not really the customer. But like one of these people mouthed off to one of these big ass customers, 75% of this organization, next thing you know, everybody got to get fired. It's like, you got to control how these motherfuckers do shit. So they got to have some semblance of fear in the fucking work environment that they need to uphold a goddamn standard before you don't have a work environment.
Absolutely correct. And that's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. It's pretty funny, but that's absolutely correct. Bottom line, you're dead on it. So, yeah, I mean, sounds like to me he was running a little loose there. He was running a little way too loose, and
but you can absorb those type of losses until you lose a big ass customer. Now you have to reevaluate all the shit that was going on within the environment that kind of led to this one interaction with a big customer or client, and it's like. There's like, you think it's something simple. It's been like, nah, there's something else going on here. You let them talk. I'm like, look, man, don't tell me, like, could you tell me a little bit more about this open-ended question? Let them talk. Like, hey, man, you can't run operations like this.
Nah, you have to be very careful of the operations you run. You have to be very careful about that. And you got to be on top of your shit. You just can't have stuff running wild and willy. It has to be pretty tightly run because it's going to cost you money. And the personnel issues cost you money. It just seems like to me he just he wasn't advised well on how to handle his personnel. What kind of business was he in? Can I get a little idea?
He did like some IT contractor.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm involved in that.
Yeah.
You got to be tight on that. Oh man, you got to be.
Like tight. I said, it wasn't the people who he was hiring. It was all these motherfuckers in the office that he felt obligated to hire. That had nothing to do with the fucking organization. Nothing.
Nope. He's run a charity case. Nah, charity now, man. I mean, I understand.
You keep hiring all these questionable ass individuals. It's like, next thing you know, you got a den full of these motherfuckers. It's like, you're getting pumped out by one of the boyfriends and shit. The only thing that's going to do is invite a whole bunch of fucking trouble to the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very little good comes out of that. I've known no good actually come out of it. I remember some years ago. This was a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago. So this is before I started my own business, and I was working for a company, OSI, and one of the owners. He was, wealthy guy doing really well, and he started. This dude started banging one of his recruiters, and his wife working there with. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're married and you got your wife in there and you're banging some chick on the side. And she came out there and tried to sue him, and it hit the New York Times papers and all. I was like,
oh no.
my gosh, it was just, and I had my man looking real greasy out there, and people were like, what is this? Steve, you're out, he had big clients. Some of them didn't want to do business with him because of the stuff getting out in the papers and all that. He tried to give her some hush money, gave her a little bit of dough. She didn't like it. She wanted more. Oh my goodness. it was just, I mean, an incredible mess. And, making poor decisions like that are going to bring that kind of thing about. So, you got to be disciplined to run your business. You have to have a lot of discipline. You have to be disciplined with your clients. You got to be disciplined with your employees. You got to be disciplined with everybody. If you might want to bang one of your clients. She may be looking good and she may be giving signals, and you do that, you're making an instantaneous mistake.
Oh yeah, non-sexual objects. There's no fucking way I'm touching these people. I don't give a fuck how green the green light is. There's always some fucking consequences to this shit every single fucking time. If not immediately, definitely eventually.
There's no question about it. I was working for the client up in Albany, and I went up there to see them. And one of the ladies, I'd go up there and pick up my checks and stuff from her and all that. And she was really cool. One day, I walked in and she just started walking in front of me. She had a pair of tight black pants on. She was tall, long, legs and ass moving. I'm like, damn, I let her bow this up. That's beautiful bow. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, I bow this shit up. She gonna bow me up in the end as well. I'm gonna end up fucking this contract up. So I said, I can't be doing that. But she was doing that so she can just giving me a look to say, yeah, let's take a look at this shit. My shit is live. And it was. But I had to beg off because I understood what was at stake. So what was more important? Money or that or that beautiful round ass and them nice legs? It was the money. I'm gonna choose the money 100%. It's just the business. It's just the business. But she look good.
You might as well just take that cash, go over there to the nearest shredder and just throw that shit in there. Just watch it. Just watch it and liquefy into nothing.
Absolutely. And we're men. We're all men. I love ass, but at the end of the day, that wasn't. She looked good. Fuck that. She looked good. And she was, slightly older, a little bit older, but man, she could carry that shit. You could see she could fuck. I was like, I know she could fuck, but there was no way I was gonna, blow my shit up over that. So I would have liked to have had both, but I just knew that at the end of the day,
shit don't work. Never worked.
Something was gonna suffer. Something was gonna suffer terribly. Anyway, yeah. Yep. We all get challenged. We all been there, so it is what it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. Most of these people, man, they get too many fucking chances, and most times they just be looking for too many chances, and they get them. It's just that people need to stop giving them all these fucking chances. D-Rock, thanks for the cash app. Let me see here. Let me wrap this thing in the chat. We'll chat this up for about another hour or see how far this conversation gonna go. We'll get out of here. Cool with that?
You gonna open it up? Yeah, go ahead, open it up, man.
All right, cool. Please don't come up here on some bullshit. I will kick your motherfucking ass out of here. I ain't got no time for it.
No. Money talks, bullshit walks.
Yeah, man, like a lot of these motherfuckers be on that fucking crazy shit coming up here, wildfire crazy. Like, man, I ain't got time for that shit tonight. Yeah, man, but he can recover. It's just that people need to see what other people go through in business and how you can be bringing in a gang of fucking money, and then all of a sudden you.
Well,
That's
Well,
one
you
of
know,
them
I think the
downfalls.
thing is, yeah, I think the thing is this: many people who have, you know, done business and have made money in business, many people have made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. You named a game, you don't want to make that fatal one. But people make mistakes. That's just part of life. You are going to make certain types of errors. And yes, you are going to hire the wrong people at times. And you might bring the wrong people in on occasion. You might make some bonehead business plays here or there. And you learn from those. Those things you're supposed to learn from them. So, you know, like in anything else. So, you know, when you make mistakes, you want to learn from them. You don't want to repeat them. And people make your company. You know, the company you have is a representation of yourself, and the people you have in there are representing you and your business at the same time. And if you're bringing in the wrong folks, then you're not doing yourself, you know, a benefit. And you have to keep mistakes down to the minimum. There's certain, you know, issues, you know, that you can have that will cause you problems that you got to pick up and see to it you don't make those mistakes again. And you got to recognize those issues when they come up quickly, and then you know what to do the next time around. So you don't continually do the same things. That will cost you. And in your own business, it's going to cost you money. Going to cost you clients. It's going to hit your pockets. And hit your pockets hard.
Yeah, Ace, what's going on, man?
Hello, everybody. How are you
What's going
doing,
on,
Madam
buddy?
Tomorrow and Nagone?
Hey, how you doing,
Hold on.
fam?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Doing well, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Break it down.
All right. The one part that really struck to me in a good way was you can talk a good game, but your actions and your track record are the definite factor. And the
Yes.
truth to be said, whenever you're going for a job interview, sure, you're in the conversation and you got the job. But if your track record doesn't show your accomplishments and your history in a certain field, you're not going to have that job or position very long.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
fine.
you know, there's a lot of people who just don't interview well. You know, like, look, all right, man, you're fucked up. All right, man, just come back tomorrow. All right, man, don't like it. Come back tomorrow. Like, oh, okay, all right, okay. There was a real dude here. And but like you know, you have the people come in with the mouthpiece, and the motherfuckers really can't do shit. Then all of a sudden they starting shit in the work environment, putting shit off on other people, not doing shit right. Next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of problems coming on hand thanks to this guy who could basically talk his way into a job, but his actual net benefit was zero. And he causing problems to everybody. Because, you know, everybody's not going to tell you the minutia of what goes on within the work environment. So they want to give on the air that things are all right. Until you find out one person is causing hell for like 8 or 9 people. It's like, what the fuck? How the fuck did I even let this shit get through like that? But that's what it is sometimes, man.
No, you're right, because it's your fault. Like I said, I had hired this one woman. This was about 2 years ago or so. Like I said, hired her. She, you know, I brought her in, and it was certain. I'm going to admit it. There were certain steps I skipped. I skipped a little bit because, you know, the boss liked her a lot. You know, if you will, you know, the owner of the company, he liked her and he really wanted her in. And I did have some real questions about it, but I let it slide a little bit. And my sixth sense is always up. You start talking to people, you talk to a lot of people on the phone after a while, you pick things up. You just pick things up. And there's just something a little snarkiness going on with this woman. But I couldn't quite I couldn't figure it all out. And there's certain questions that you didn't really want to ask that could have potentially put you in possible legal trouble. But just my overall spidey sense was tingling. And I was like, all right. But anyway, we ended up hiring her, and then she became a problem. And it was that divorce thing. It was all that shit going on. And it was all the stuff in the background that I could have found out in certain kind of ways by asking certain types of better probing questions to get her talking a little bit, where she would have given me a little bit more insight into that. And I didn't do it. So that was partially my fault. And I said, this is never going to happen again. This is never going to fucking happen again. And, you know, Mary, he was a great guy. You know, I ended up putting somebody else in there after a bit, but he was disappointed, you know, and ultimately I had to replace that candidate with somebody else. and I couldn't really charge a fee for it. And I was willing to do that because it was my mistake. So I had to eat that. So I had to do more work, put another person in there, and I didn't get paid for it because it was a replacement. So
Yeah.
that cost me money and time, but I was glad to do it because it was my mistake. I fucked up. I did not uncover some of the fuckery going on when I sensed it. It's just like if you're gonna roll with a woman and you get a funny sense that this bitch ain't right, step off. That is a warning system that's there for you. And it was the same here in business. When you see these gamesters coming up and they start talking shit, you get a sense, this guy's trying to game me. You know that? Yeah, they are. You know, more times than not, and err on the side of caution than on the side of being liberal in this respect, and you'll tend to get better results. So you're right. You know, like I said, trailing 12, all these things have to be there, but you got to know what's going on in their background. Their personal lives too are very important because they're going through divorces and they're doing all other kind of shit. They're gonna bring that shit onto your business. And I remember reading up, you know, Donald Trump, he's president now, which I don't like him, but he, you know, but as a business guy early on in the early days in the 80s, and when he did the Art of the Deal and all that, I was reading that stuff. He said some good shit. And he was like, you know, I had a guy in my company, you know, and he had all those problems with his wife and all this kind of stuff was going on. And I fired him. And I had to get rid of him, you know. I said, listen, lose the ball breaker. Your career will go your career will go further. And there's a lot of truth to that, you know. You don't want to have fucked up people in your personal life that you're going to bring onto your job that's going to affect your work. So you have to understand all these factors as well. So just know much about people and know what's really going on with them. You're going to get a better result. And it's important. You know, it's you know, at the end of the day, business, companies, and corporations are all made up of people. They're the most important assets you bring in. You got to know a lot about what's going on with them to get good results.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just that a lot of people think that you could be making these undisciplined moves and be making these high impact decision making, and I'm telling you, man, this shit don't mix. You know, so you bring one of these motherfuckers in there, they end up doing some fuck shit, and next thing you know, your reputation's gone. You gotta move to another city. You know, you can lose a lot fucking around with this shit like this.
It's business. It's actually business, and it's business. It's business, and that's part of your business is being very sharp on that because it can cost you. It can.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, you know, when you repeatedly put yourself in these you know, these situations that all these temporary situations with these fucking people, man, shit can blow up in your goddamn face in all kinds of fucking ways. That's why I'm telling people, man, let the people currently out here claiming they're doing that shit, lead them motherfuckers up there. Leave them up there. Don't try to go up there with them. Don't try to do the shit better. You're trying to establish a consistent process that works for you. And you're not going to be able to have a consistent process if you keep putting all these random ass people within your life temporarily. Because, you know, that becomes part of your character as well, you know.
That I don't understand. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he's thinking there, but you know, you don't want to certainly want to be a charity case. That never works. If you want to open up a charity, open a profit and raise money to you want to do that, that's one thing. But
open up a shelter, bring in some animals in, you know, you get paid on some non-profit basis. You know what I'm saying? You just sit the motherfuckers in the cage and just feed them, you know what I'm saying? No problem. Hey man, you can't be doing this shit with live fucking human-based reptiles, man. What the fuck are you doing?
I see.
Nah, man.
Yeah, man, like a mouthful of serrated canines and all these fucking issues. Like, dude, what the fuck is this?
That is messed up, but it is appropriate considering you're building a shelter for those that are in need. When it comes to running a business, it's completely different, which from the conversation so far, and please correct me if I'm wrong, three things come to mind. The first of which is you go through the interviewing process and successfully obtained employment, but if you don't, but if you have not addressed any personal issues, whether it be at home or with yourself, and it's shown throughout your work and actions, you're not going to have that job very long.
Yeah, man.
The
Well,
second,
that's why I bring the family in. You know, you take them out somewhere to eat real nice. And how these people conduct themselves at the fucking table, they'll tell me everything about the fucking man who I'm hiring for this fucking position. I don't mind blowing $150 to save myself from hundreds of thousands of dollars of fucking headaches. It's nothing. But that's how people gotta be, man.
understood. The second part is goes back to the first one. There's actually a fourth step when it comes from the interview phase to the job phase. And the fourth phase is the most critical one because you talk a good game and it landed you at a good spot. But if you cannot continue with what you said and the environment becomes too challenging, you will lose that job immediately.
Oh, no doubt, man. They gotta know that your ass can be out the door at any given time if you step over these fucking lines, man. And like a lot of people like, oh, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal to you because you're not responsible for a goddamn thing, right? But that's just the way it is sometimes, man. It's hard to get like these young people, most of them black, to think in a kind of a protectionist mode. You know, they grow up in these fucked up environments, and even if they wasn't growing up in these environments, they hang out with these other motherfuckers who don't give a fuck. You know, it shows in the fucking character and how they act within a work environment, all types of shit. So it's like, look, man, a little bit of discipline could go a long ass fucking way. You know what I'm saying?
Which brings me to the third thing, and do excuse the background if it becomes too loud. Would you and Nagon agree that in addition to preparing aggressively for the interview by doing research about the job that you want to obtain, as well as how it matches your skills and interests, is proving your worth through your actions as well as with your experience the final way to seal the deal, to ensure you're able to continuously maintain that employment, learn something about it, and eventually start your own business from what you've learned?
Oh, sure. Yeah, man, you're
Sure.
supposed to. Consistently, you're supposed to do that.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. Um, that's something you're constantly doing. And remember, some people are going to be inclined to open up their own businesses. Some are not. So some are just going to be better employees and so forth. You know, it all depends on what your interest is. But you want to definitely come in and do and be the best product that you can be walking through that door. So it's also good to have interview training, understand how to interview right, how to really highlight, you know, your real strengths and so forth, and really show what kind of assets that you can really be in that interview. So the interview process, and I prep people on interviews as well, how to handle that whole process as well. But yes, so you want to be definitely sharp as you can be, but you want to walk in there, you want to be what you say you are, because if you do, like say some people talk about game yourself in there, then you can't handle it. Your ass is out of there faster than shit through a goose. So you would have wasted somebody's time, you would have wasted somebody else's time, and you're going to do some damage in the process. So you want to be what you say you are. And if you are that, then you want to be able to highlight that to the maximum levels of the ability, and you're going to be the one who they're going to pick for that job as opposed to somebody else.
All right.
And, yeah, no doubt.
In addition to that, and this does go along with preparing aggressively, have you or any brother, including MOT, have prepared aggressively for a job that you wanted to obtain, but realized that you were going to forget everything that you researched, but you acknowledge that and continue the conversation as in you're being present during the interview, and eventually let the information you've gathered come into play instead of forcing it bit by bit? That's the one
Yeah,
thing I learned when it comes to doing numerous interviews in the education field. I prepared aggressively, but I wasn't in the conversation at hand.
Yeah, well, like most of these people, depends on what type of person who you are interviewed by, because a lot of these people, especially the people who are like highly confident at their job, they don't really like talking to people. They're just part of the conversation to give like the thumbs up and thumbs down. So like trying to force those questions on that guy is like, oh shit, we gotta talk to the motherfucker. I don't want to be around this type of shit. So you really got to gauge the room before you just try to force these things into the conversation. So you can make it a natural part of your answer to questions, that is. But at the end of the day, it's got to be appropriate to what you're actually doing. Otherwise, you can really, kind of set some people off in the wrong way, which is the opposite of what the fuck you're supposed to be there for in the first place. So,
And
all right.
you got to be the guy most engaged in that process. You got to
Yeah.
engage them, because they got to be buying into you as well. So you've
Yeah.
got to engage. Very important.
Yeah. All right, man. So we ain't got nothing else, man. We're going to close out here. Got any last words, Ace?
None other than thank you for not only answering my questions, but for having the stream.
No problem, man. We just need to have some conversations here. There's of some substance. Surprised people stayed this long. But at the end of the day, man, you are here for whatever you're here for. I'm not gonna go chase you down other streams and see what the fuck you're doing outside of my shit. I don't care. But I just know why I'm here. I'm here to produce better men, and that is not to hand off to most of these people in the environment who really don't give a shit about men. I want y'all to go out and get the best deal for what you got, and the best deal for what you got isn't with the people that are currently in the marketplace here, because I don't want you to keep continuously being in and on the market for everybody else's benefit except for your own. Because if they can invest nothing and have all these chances and opportunities, I don't want you spending your chances and opportunities wasting time on these people. And I just don't really want that to happen. So, why did I say so? Anything else to go before we get up out of here? Your last words before we get up out of here? I think. Yeah, Nagom, you're muted.
Hey, I'm sorry, fam. I would just going to some. No, I don't have any other words. Great live stream. You're dead on the money. Good stuff. And listen, you guys have a great night, and let's do this again.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Title of the live stream was "Don't Waste Your Only Chance on Those Who Have Had Many." And this is for business and everything else. Because I want you to keep your gains that you get here while you are here. Because there's a lot of people looking forward to deal your ass to other people who haven't brought a level of respect or even appreciation for what you bring to the table. So these people within this environment, there's going to be a lot of people pretending. I just don't want you to get caught up in that, because that helps out everybody else but you. So I want to thank y'all for coming through. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you already haven't, or if you're here for the very first time. You guys have a really nice day. Thanks.
Best wishes, everybody.